There we go. We are live. Now the waiting begins. I've got quite a few people on Instagram already. Hi guys. Hello Megan. How are we? And we're also live on Facebook. If people want to join me over there, it's up to you. Watch me wherever you want. Right, I think that is all set up. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, so I'm kind of splitting my eyesight between both different things. So we'll just wait for a few more people to join and then we'll get started. Hello, the King's Head. Hello, Alex. How are you? There we go, picking up. So throughout this, if you want to ask a question or if you want to just chip in with anything, just drop it in the comments and I'll try and keep up with it and I'll try and answer anything that anybody wants me to answer. And hopefully it won't be me rambling too much, but it probably will be. Sorry about that. Yeah, I've got my little schedule here from the King's Head, so I know what I'm doing, hopefully. Great, yeah, and feel free to give this video a little share now, get more people, have it with a cup of tea, why don't you? It's very exciting. A bit nervous, a bit like doing a TED Talk. That's how I feel. Hi Chris, welcome to my TED Talk. So yeah, we've got a few more on Instagram now. Hello guys, we will be starting very shortly. Yeah, today's session is stepping up your drag game with me, Chris Clegg. For those of you that don't know me, I am Christopher D. Clegg. I'm a producer and I also have a background in marketing and graphic design. But my current company, Tuck Shop, or my only company, Tuck Shop, we produce a lot of theatre that is based in the drag world. Basically anything with drag performers we'll dip our fingers into. At the minute we're moving onto digital stuff as well because everyone is. So yeah, we'll be talking about drag and theatre and how it all fits together for me, and I'll be answering any questions you have, and we'll just have a little chit chat and see about how everything comes together. Yeah, I'm literally reading my little schedule. It's like 1 o'clock, log on, 1:05 introduction. But we can start the introduction now. So yes, I am Christopher D. Clegg and I am a producer. I started producing years and years ago. I'm very old. My first production was a musical called Enchanted that we changed the name to Betwixt because the Disney film Enchanted came out, which was very annoying at the time. So it was the first thing I'd ever produced, and basically since then I have just found myself in an array of bizarre and exciting situations and have produced some stuff that I'm really proud of. And now I'm running Tuck Shop. So Tuck Shop is my company. We founded it just over a year ago, and Tuck Shop produces anything drag based. It is live shows, we sell merchandise, we do digital shows, we're working on TV shows, and basically everything I've learned in theatre up to this point has kind of helped me out with Tuck Shop because I always wanted to produce, I always wanted to make theatre, and obviously theatre is expensive. Theatre is a lot. And to get into theatre, you need money. And I never had money. I'm a working class northern boy. My dad was a nurse and my mum was a stay-at-home mum, unless she was a dinner lady for 1 or 2 years at my school, which was not fun. So yeah, we founded Tuck Shop to give a platform to UK-based drag artists. We saw a big rise in drag popularity from America and from shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and Dragula. And we thought, well, we should try and produce shows that engage UK-based artists, which was, we were like, this will be fun, this will be fine. And the first big show that we produced as Tuck Shop was Gals Aloud, which is a drag comedy tribute to Girls Aloud. It is as ridiculous as it sounds, and we thought this will be a great laugh, and we did it for one night at the Underbelly on the South Bank, and it went absolutely incredibly. We sold out, and from that we've managed to launch several different shows. We've launched Spice Gals, we've just done Cinderella in the West End. We were the first ever drag West End pantomime, and we were about to do, just before Lady Corona hit, we were about to do drag live at the London Coliseum, which would have been the first time drag had ever taken over the London Coliseum, which was really, really exciting, and still is exciting. It will happen. But we've basically managed to curate and make this platform for UK-based drag performers in kind of a short time. It's all been an amalgamation of my years producing before. I produced Cool Rider at the Duchess Theatre and at the Lyric Theatre, because I'm a massive Grease 2 fan. I produced Betwixt at Trafalgar Studios. I was a theatre manager in the West End. I even worked at the King's Head when I was younger. I co-produced some shows there and worked in the office, which is one of the reasons I was excited about this, because I think the King's Head and spaces like the King's Head are very exciting, and they help a lot of people start their careers, and they help a lot of people experiment. And I think experimenting is one of the main things that we want to continue to do with Tuck Shop. Doing the show live at the Coliseum, whenever that happens now, is something that we really kind of, we're proud that we'd managed to secure this epic, it's a 2,500 seat theatre. It's the home of the English National Opera, and there we are with, a group of people in drag. And that kind of ridiculousness is one of the things as well that we like. We like to take something like our Cinderella that we did at the Trafalgar Studios, traditional family pantomime in a traditional West End theatre, and fill it with drag queens and just absolutely break the rules with it, because drag is a bit punk, and it's kind of lost its edge to some people because it's very sanitized on TV and things like that. But now it's, it's going full throttle, and it's really, really kind of, even though you've got RuPaul and these very polished queens, you now have this kind of level again of the subculture, and that is rising, and that's what we like to see and get excited about, all these new exciting drag artists coming to the front. And yeah, Tuck Shop is just hopefully a home for UK drag, and a place where people can either on stage experiment or in the audience have fun, because drag and theatre to me is about entertainment, and it's you're meant to leave feeling a certain way, and drag can do that in pubs and clubs and bars, but you never kind of get the true drag essence that you get in pubs and clubs and bars in theatres. It's always different variations of it. Annette just pointed out that the E&O have done camp and drag in many productions, but what we were doing was the first full drag takeover. And we were really, and we will when we do it, kind of stay true to the drag mentality, and the drag performers that we use are all actual drag queens and kings and drag royalty working on the scene, and taking them from a nightclub and putting people that are used to having 30 people in a crowded bar, putting them on the stage at the English National Opera and seeing what happens is bonkers to me. And I love it. I love the bonkersness, absolute bonkersness. So yeah, that's a little bit about Tuck Shop. I ramble a lot. I go off on tangents, you will find. So if you have any questions, just stick them in and I will answer them, because it'll probably help me stay on track. So say, how did I get started in theatre? I spoke a bit about that, but I will touch on, I was a theatre manager for 2 years in the West End. At 25, I became the youngest theatre manager in the West End. And I got to look after the Ambassadors Theatre. And that gave me, I produced a few things by then, but that gave me an insight into the day-to-day runnings of theatre, which I think is kind of an invaluable thing for not only producers, but performers as well. I think making sure you know all aspects of the business, where things are going now, I think with the amount of people that self-produce and the amount of opportunities there are outside of, you know, the traditional West End houses, I think the more you know about the business, the better. I don't know even half of it yet. I have a couple of people I work with who helped me incredibly. Callum, who's just waved. Callum is part of the Tuck Shop team, and he has taught me a lot more about the box office side of things and ticketing and marketing, which, again, you have to just think about all these things that you never thought about. When I started producing, I was like, oh, producing is easy. I thought this would be, you know, I'll just put on a show. And I've made so many mistakes, and it's gone so horribly wrong at times. And you learn the hard way. And I do think producing, you kind of have to learn on the job. That's what I found, is that you only know certain things because they've gone wrong or they've gone right. But some of the problems and some of the things that you get hit with, all of a sudden you're like, why have I never heard this? Why have I never kind of had to do that before? And then you just have to do it. You have to get on with it. So yeah, I think that my years as a theatre manager were extremely helpful. And I also think I did 2 years as head of marketing for Bill Kenwright. And working for Bill was an absolute dream. Like, it's a bonkers office. There's so much going on. There's so many shows. I was head of marketing. At times, it was just me. There was no other marketing team. Like, people would come and go. It's such a fluid place. And then working at Bill's and working on the marketing side of things, that really gives me another insight into how to sell a show. So I've produced, I've been head of marketing, and I've been a theatre manager. So I think that gives me a nice rounded view. And then I had an absolutely horrific show that lost me lots of money. The show was great, but it lost lots of money. And I had to, basically, I ended up getting a job in Soho in a bar. And whilst working at the bar, I was introduced to drag and to drag queens. And I actually went into the world of drag myself and started my own character, Miss Rosie Beaver. And Rosie, she's not here so much now, but basically with Rosie and doing drag, I then learnt that industry and that community spirit and that whole kind of, you know, you just get on with it. You just pack your bags, you just show up, you get changed in the toilet, you work very, very hard in the drag industry. So now I've found like a nice mix of everything. I run Tuck Shop, which produces drag. We do a lot of the marketing in-house. We do the producing in-house. We do the creative in-house. You know, we kind of are a nicely rounded company. We're very, very, very small in comparison to lots of them. I just saw a question actually about that. Yeah, how will your approach to funding change in the current climate? Well, I am terrible as a producer. I am terrible at fundraising. Like, some people have that gift, and I know people, and I've worked with people who are able to reel off a list of investors they have and go out there and raise, you know, 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. That has always been a struggle for me. So I've always tried to do shows that kind of you can cash flow the best you can, which is, if you were to produce a show at the London Palladium, you could never do that. But because we started in bars and clubs and smaller venues, we managed to do shows that didn't require big investment. So Gals Aloud, for example, we basically spent nothing on before the first show. You know, we bought some outfits for the girls. They already had all their wigs and makeup and hair. So we kind of were very lucky that we could produce without needing to put down 10 grand or 20 grand. And from those shows, it started to make money and started to feed into the next projects. And we produced Cinderella in the West End. We self-funded that. Our drag at the Coliseum was going to be self-funded, and the Coliseum were co-producing that with us, which will still be the case when that happens. So we're trying to get to a place where we don't need to fundraise too much, which is obviously the dream for absolutely everybody. Whether we get there, whether it can stay that way as we grow, we obviously want to do bigger and better things, and that costs money. But I think in this current climate, whatever people are working on, and it's the same for us, you have to diversify. You have to kind of spread out what you're working on and not put all your eggs in one basket. The coronavirus has shown that our industry is very fragile. We are all of a sudden, all of us are rudderless, and we can't physically go to a theatre and put on shows, which is the KHTOnline series is a brilliant way of creatives and people getting together and talking about art and creating new ways to entertain. We are diversifying ourselves. We have just signed a contract with a TV company for some work, and we are also developing a lot of digital work for online. We've got a series called Drag Queen's Den that is going to be starting shortly. That is an online drag competition. So it's making use of people's talents, even though we don't have a physical stage. And I think that's going to keep going for a while, because no one really knows yet when theatres will open and what size of theatres will open, or bars or clubs or pubs. So I think, I can't remember if it was Holland Park Opera, an opera company, I think, announced that they're going to do a drive-in opera, which I think is absolutely just brilliant, and it's the kind of thing you would go and see anyway. And things like that, kind of, now is the time for the innovators to step up and to push forward. We have always been a little bit bonkers, and we're the scrappy little company. And I'm very lucky that I know a lot of people in theatre. So, producing Cinderella at Trafalgar Studios was fun, and I already had a foot in the door there, which a lot of people don't have. But there are people who have a lot of money, but who don't have the innovative skills that so many people have. And all the drag queens and performers that I work with, I've seen in this downtime, they are all really, really pushing themselves and making content themselves and self-producing, even if it's just a 3-minute video on their iPhone, but they're editing stuff, they're learning new software. And I think the next wave of theatre will come from people who are using their skills and pushing their skills. And that's the kind of people I want to work with, and that's the kind of people Tuck Shop likes to work with. People that have a passion and a drive themselves, that don't rely on others, which isn't always easy. And also, I know that even though I'm from a working class family and stuff, I know that I've had it easier than a lot of other people. But hopefully, once this mad corona nonsense is over, we can all kind of use our skills and hopefully kind of level things out a bit. We're going to need new, exciting venues and ways to entertain people. And for drag, I think drag is only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's one of the things Tuck Shop is excited about, is that there is more and more and more drag on TV, in theatres, in bars and clubs. And for us, we want to make sure that we are pushing the boundaries of drag. We're not, we're not doing the same thing we were a year ago. We're not just in this one club, or we're not just in this one theatre. We're working on a couple of UK tours. We're working on, like I said, some TV content. We're working on digital stuff. And I think for any company, you need to think about stepping it up each time. And part of stepping it up is as well the quality of work. Some of our earlier stuff was very scrappy and was very, I won't say questionable, but it wasn't polished. It wasn't quite finished. But I think that's the kind of thing you need to go through to get bigger and better. And we know where we have had faults and flaws and want to improve it. And I think drag can be rough. But I think if you're trying to sell it to a mass market, there is a way of polishing up things, but without taking away the heart. Which is just theatre in general, I guess. There are many, many big shows and shows that have a lot of money behind them that do very well, but they don't necessarily have heart. So yeah, I think I am waffling a bit now, but I'm excited about where Tuckshop will go. If anyone wants to ask a question about myself and Tuckshop, please throw it in the comments on Instagram or Facebook. What's the next big thing we're working on? The problem is, as with everyone out there, is we just don't have a timeline at the minute. So we have lots of shows in development and lots of things on hold with no kind of date where we can go, right, now we can put our foot down, now we can get cracking. There was a show that we didn't even announce that was going to open. It was a play with a full cast of drag performers in the West End and a UK tour that has just disappeared into the air because of coronavirus. And it will come back, but everything that relies on live venues is on hold. So keeping positive is tough, can be tough, but it's it's just about holding on and make sure your ideas are good enough. And question, Alex Jackson. Hi, Alex. What would be your advice for someone who wants to produce some queer work but doesn't know where to start? My first piece of theatre I ever produced, I had no idea what I was doing and I didn't know where to start. I literally found a venue, found the show we wanted to do and just cracked on with it, which is easier said than done. But I would say the most important thing for your first show is you have to be passionate about it. It has to be a project. The first show I ever produced, I would produce again. Like, I would do it again. I would change lots of things, but it's a show that I still believe in. So whatever your first piece of work is, especially queer theatre, I think as queer creatives, you need to really have a passion and know the history of what you're producing. But I think right now it is tough because of, there aren't physically any venues. But, if you've got a play or something you want to do a reading of, get together a group of friends and do it on Zoom. We've got, I've been working on the screenplay and we've got a musical in development and we're doing table reads and things like that. Or we will do once I pull my finger out. But, you can't physically go out at the minute, but staying in can create a lot of free time. And if there's a piece of work that you love, if you really love it, spend all your time on it and, get it perfect so that when the theatres are open again or when the bars or clubs or whatever venue you choose to produce it in, you are kind of ready to go. Like, make it the best it can be. Fundraising is going to be hard when you get out of here, but also a lot of people are going to want entertaining and a lot of people are going to want work and a lot of people are going to make things happen. So yeah, hopefully just make it happen. That's my not very good advice on that one. It really does depend on, on what the scale of the show is and what you want to get from it as well. Some of the most rewarding things I've done have been in a room with 30 people, and then I've produced shows to thousands of people, and kind of just afterwards was like, yeah, that was nice. So just really make sure it's something you're passionate about, and make sure it's something that, I know this is a really simple thing to say, but make it something that people want to see. There's a lot of theatre out there, and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of content and entertainment and TV and YouTube. So make it entertaining. If you've got a lesson in there to teach people, or if there's a story you want to tell, you have to wrap it in a nice package so that people want to go to it. Because you could absolutely produce anything, but if you want to create work that is commercial and pays the bills, then people have to want to see it. One of my favorite things about producing, and one of my favorite things about Tuckshop, is we're a small, independently owned, like, I am the only person that works full time for Tuckshop. And then there's a few people that work a lot of hours because they love it. And there's a lot of people that help out. But the thing that I absolutely get from Tuckshop more than anything is paying people. I love it when you get money from a venue or from, you know, a ticket sales company, and you can physically send money to a performer, like knowing that you're paying people's wages is it's a responsibility. And that's one of the things I've struggled with in lockdown, is that, you know, I was providing a lot of drag queens regular work, and we had these big shows coming up, and then all of a sudden they have gone and I can't provide for people anymore. So that is hard, not being able to provide. But you learn, I know it's a cheesy phrase, but you learn who your friends are, and you learn who the creatives you want to work with are, because people will kind of get involved, and people will, you know, help you out in times like this. So yeah, like find creatives that you like working with and that will work with you through the dark times as well as the success. Because once you have success, you start getting all the emails and you start getting all the texts of people wanting to catch up, and, you know, work with the people that have your back and you have their back. Also, it's with Tuck Shop, we've made a really nice family of performers, creatives, you know, costume designers, people that, Callum that does all the spreadsheets for me. Like, I think having a nice family, look at Mischief Theatre. Mischief Theatre were this group of people that decided to do this comedy that they spent years working on. They spent years kind of doing the festivals, but it paid off for them, and now they are literally one of the biggest brands in the world in theatre, and their shows are incredible, and they're making a living themselves. They're paying lots of other people's wages, and that all kind of came out of this group of people that wanted to make something. And, you know, if I can expand my group with Tuck Shop and keep that, you know, family vibe, that's exciting. Noah, any advice for baby queens? Yeah, so for baby drag queens, my thing is always like work on your polish. You see a lot, everyone wants to do drag now, and there are people coming to drag who have been on the West End, and there are people who come from a makeup background, the people who come from a dance background. I don't really think it matters what you do in drag, just make it entertaining, be committed to it more than anything. Find something that is uniquely you, commit to it, because there are, you know, 12 drag queens for every square foot in central London. Do you know what I mean? You can't turn the corner without bumping into a drag queen anymore. So if you're going to do it, be the best you can be true to yourself, because people do the makeup and the hair and they spend money on buying these outfits, but you can tell if it's not real and if it's not true. So yeah, make sure whatever you do is true to yourself. Because even though it is drag and you're under this layer of armor, you're still a human being, and people go to connect with you. And that doesn't matter what stage you're on, or if you're performing, or if you're hosting, or if you're doing a web series, people will always kind of want to connect with the human being. I mean, that is theatre summed up right there, isn't it? Kind of being in a room with a group of people, shared experience. That's a good drag name, share experience, shared experience. Someone can have that one if you want it. Yeah, so there you go. That's me rambling for a bit. I've got time for a few questions. We've only got a few minutes left before I have to go and have a sandwich. Thrilling for you there. Tuck Shop we're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Tuck Shop UK, and our website is tuckshopuk.com, and you can see our work on there, things we've done in the past. I am Chris D. Clegg, CHRISDCLEGG on Instagram and Twitter. I love chatting to creative people and to queer people and to people in drag and people not in drag or queer. I'll literally chat to anyone. So please, please give me a follow, give Tuck Shop a follow. We're all in this weird place right now, but if you do want to collaborate, or if you have a script, or if you think of a good idea for a show, we can't guarantee we'll work together, but we can guarantee we'll have a read and we'll have a listen, and it'll be fun. And when this is all over, I will be going out for lots of creative cups of tea, a socially distant, responsible seating arrangement, and hopefully connecting with lots of people in the flesh, because drag and stage work. Theatre is stage work. That's not a word, is it, Chris? It's about connection, and I think we're all gonna really need that again, massively. Massively, we're gonna need some connection after all this, and hopefully we can connect to a tuck shop show. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Come and see us when we're all back. Yeah, if anyone wants to chat to me more as well about how I got into drag and theatre and all that stuff, I think I covered it all. But I was just waffling really. Yeah, literally, I think that's it. That's my half an hour. It's done. Any last minute questions? No. Thank you all so much for coming to join. It has actually been fun just talking to myself for half an hour. And maybe speak about things I haven't spoken about in a long time. About my theatre management and marketing side of things as well. But yes, please do make sure you're watching these every day. The King's Head are doing an awesome thing with all these different creatives, and it's a real broad spectrum of people, which is really cool, and a lot of independent creatives, because independent creatives are the future, I think. Big budget shows are great, but people want new and exciting experiences, and hopefully Tuck Shop and people out there can give that to them. Right, I think that's it. I think we're done. Here. Thank you all again. Go and give us a follow. Go and give the King's Head some love. And go and just like some artists' Instagram posts. Go and give them a like and show them some love. It doesn't cost anything. And it shows that their work is valued, which is great. Right, that's it from me. Have a good one and take care. Bye.